I have a saying. If anyone, such as myself, tells you they know everything there is to know about bluebirds, turn around and walk away from them. Because no one can know everything there is to know about bluebirds. I mean, bluebirds don't live in some controlled laboratory setting where you can observe everything they do. No, they live in the outdoors. They're wild. And you never know what's going to impact or influence them. So you can't know everything there is to know about them. I'm Bill Pennewill. I live at the Penny Retirement Community. I've been monitoring a bluebird trail of 35 or more boxes for 10 years or more. Back in 2010, Faith Jones and myself started the Florida Bluebird Society, and as you know, we have a problem with fire ants. Mm-hmm. Well, when I monitor these boxes, I always check to make sure that there are no fire ant nests within a reasonable distance, maybe 6 feet or so of a box. And if there are, I do what I can to eliminate them. And of course, when you go around and you check the box, you may find that you have a problem with sparrows. Mm-hmm. And sparrows are deadly enemies of bluebirds. And so you have to get rid of them. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, you might find when you go to open a box that you might find a snake in there or a bat. And of course, they have to be removed too. Someone said one time that opening a bluebird box is like opening a Christmas present. You never know what you're going to find in it. Well, I was marginally involved with bluebirds back in Pennsylvania. I used to walk a trail with a gentleman who carried mealworms with him, and I'd walk along with him. He'd put the mealworms out, but he never opened the boxes, and so I really didn't know anything about them. The bluebirds were pretty, but other than that, I really didn't care much about them. But being an outdoor person, I love to hunt, fish, bird, etc. And so when I came down here, Florida was a whole new environment, and I started doing a lot of birding, and there was a gentleman on campus who was also a birder, and I became friends with him. But he put up the original bluebird boxes here at the Penny Retirement Community. But his goal in life, so far as bluebirds was concerned, was to put up as many bluebird boxes as he could. And he asked me to go along with him. Well, being the type of person I am, is if I do something, I want to know all about it. And I started going on the internet and trying to learn what I could about bluebirds, and I soon realized that we were not doing things right here. We weren't monitoring, weren't keeping any records, the boxes were too close together. And so I started taking them down, I started rearranging them, and I started trying to organize the trail. At the same time, I began to realize that a lot of the information I was getting off the internet really wasn't pertinent to Florida. Florida's a big state, some 300 some miles east-west, 450 miles north-south. I don't know the exact figures. Go from the subtropics down into Miami area, going up to Jacksonville area. And I realized that we needed an organization that would be specifically aimed at Florida. And that's why in 2010, Faith Jones and I started the Florida Bluebird Society. And so from that point on, I just kept keeping records, kept trying to learn everything I can, and so here we are today. And the next question then is, where do I put it? Well, I would recommend you find a place that is mowed or has cut grass and is relatively free from brushy or any shrubs or anything like that. I would recommend a golf course, and the golf course here probably are my most active bluebird boxes. A park is a good setting. Cemeteries are good because they keep the grass mowed there. Or even an open orchard. But you want to make sure that wherever you put it, they don't use pesticides. Mm. And if you're going to put up more than one box, you want to make sure that the boxes are at least 100 yards apart. But something else you have to take into consideration too is what I call the feeding area. Bluebirds, if they're going to raise a family, need an area of about 2 to 3 acres to find the insects to feed those young in that box. I discovered this some years ago. There was an open field and I put 4 nest boxes at the 4 corners of the field. But they weren't being used right, and I knew there was something wrong. And eventually I took 2 of them down. Now have 2 catty-corner from each other, one on either side. And now both of the boxes are being used. And so this is when I started taking into consideration not just 100 yards apart, but also the area that would be required to feed the young, which I call the feeding area. I can answer that in one word: people. People are the biggest threat, not just to bluebirds, but to all wildlife, to the environment. Speaking about bluebirds specifically, if you want to get me riled up, it's someone who wants to buy a bluebird box. They go to the hardware store, they get a box, and then they nail it to a tree. I mean, if you're going to put a bluebird box up, take the time to learn how it should be done. Just go to the Florida Bluebird Society website. There's plenty of information there that tells you what to do and what not to do. I see people, they buy the box, they nail it to a tree, they nail it to a telephone pole, and then they forget about it. I've been called to take down boxes that someone put up in the backyard, and it's full of trash, it's full of wasp nests. The box may or may not have been used 1 year, but after that, it was just useless. Mm-hmm. So that, in that respect, but there's a bigger problem, and of course, and that's the environment. We're losing habitat here in Florida like crazy. Look around, all the trees that are being cut down, cleared for shopping malls, businesses, and developments. Well, I'm not saying we don't need development, but I'm saying that when we cut those trees down, what we're doing is we're cutting down potential cavities, potential nest sites for bluebirds or other birds. But the second biggest threat against bluebirds and all birds are cats. Feral and free-roaming cats. People tell me they love cats. Well, if you love your cat, please keep it indoors. I'm a strong advocate of the American Birding Association's program, Keep Cats Indoors. But you talk to people and say, well, I love cats. Well, okay, if you love your cat, do your cat a favor. Keep it inside. But we don't recognize that the environmental impact of cats. It's more of a cat welfare problem. We have to take care of the cats, and until we come to the realization of the impact that cats have on the environment, we're going to have a problem. Maybe sooner or later we'll wake up, but so far I don't see much hope for that. Well, that's very easy, really. Join. The Florida Bluebird Society has, I think, 7 layers of membership from student on up to life. And you can download a membership application off the website, and it'll list on that application a number of ways that you can get involved in various activities. There's something there for everyone, I'm sure. And if you like bluebirds, I would suggest join the Florida Bluebird Society, get involved, because we can always use all the help we can get. And the Florida Bluebird Society really was created to be a place where we can collect and disseminate information about bluebirds in Florida. So the more people who get involved, the more information we get, the more information we get out, and the more we can learn about bluebirds in Florida.